The morning of my wedding started like any other, but it quickly turned into something I could never have anticipated. My name is Alex, and I had been planning this day for over a year, dreaming of the moment I would stand next to Emily and promise a lifetime together. But nothing could have prepared me for what was about to happen. The sun shone brightly through the windows, casting long shadows across the living room as I put on my carefully tailored suit. Every stitch, every fold, every detail had been perfect, or so I thought. My heart raced with anticipation and excitement, mingled with that nervous energy that comes with knowing your life is about to change forever. Then came the knock. I opened the door to find Emily's father standing there, a smirk curling on his lips, eyes glinting with something I couldn't immediately place. Mockery, malice, or perhaps both. "Alex," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "I hear you're about to marry my daughter." I nodded politely, unsure of what he was doing there at this hour. Without another word, he grabbed the suit bag I had carefully hung, unzipped it, and pulled out the fabric as if it were nothing more than a paper doll. My hands flew to stop him, but it was too late. With a flick of his lighter, the fabric caught fire, flames licking at the suit with a ferocity that mirrored the shock freezing my chest. "You think you're worthy of her?" he laughed, the sound cruel and hollow, bouncing off the walls of what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I stepped back, powerless, as smoke filled the air. My wedding suit, the symbol of preparation, respect, and love for the woman I was about to marry, turned to ash in seconds. I could barely breathe, my mind racing through disbelief, anger, and the absurdity of the situation. Emily's mother appeared at the doorway, silent and wide-eyed, clearly unsure whether to intervene. For a moment, I just stood there, stunned, the smell of burning fabric thick in my nostrils. Every dream, every image I had built in my head of this day, collapsed in that instant. Her father's laughter rang in my ears, a cruel soundtrack to a morning that was supposed to mark a new beginning. I finally found my voice, though it trembled with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded, my hands still shaking from the adrenaline coursing through me. He looked at me, amusement dancing in his eyes, as if my outrage were nothing more than entertainment for him. "Doing this?" he echoed mockingly. "I'm showing you the truth, Alex. You don't belong here." Emily appeared behind him, her expression a storm of confusion, fear, and frustration. "Dad, stop. This isn't funny," she shouted, rushing forward, but he waved her off with a dismissive flick. I realized in that moment that the battle wasn't just about me. It was about standing up to a man who believed he had the right to control the life of the woman I loved. Smoke curled through the room as I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. My heart pounded, but my mind was sharper than ever. I wouldn't allow fear or intimidation to dictate the day I had waited for. "You're wrong," I said, my voice firm now. "And Emily, she chooses who stands beside her. Not you. Not anyone else." Her father sneered, stepping closer, trying to assert dominance, but I didn't back down. The moment had shifted. No longer was I the stunned observer of his cruel theatrics. I was a man defending his future, defending the love and life I had worked toward. "This ends now," I said, my words calm but edged with authority. "You either leave or I do, and Emily comes with me." Emily looked at me, eyes wide, a mix of relief and fear. Slowly she nodded. "Alex, thank you," she whispered, the tension in her voice barely concealing her gratitude. Her father's smirk faltered for a split second, the first crack in his armor. He had underestimated the bond between us. The resolve built on years of trust, love, and shared dreams. I stepped toward the door, motioning for him to follow or leave. The smoke lingered in the air, a reminder of the chaos, but also a symbol of my refusal to be intimidated. Emily fell into my side, and together we faced the man who had tried to destroy this moment before it even began. The wedding day I had envisioned was under siege, but I had already won the first battle, standing firm, refusing to be broken, and protecting the woman I loved from the cruelty she had no choice but to face. Her father lingered for a moment, his eyes darting between Emily and me, clearly struggling with the realization that his intimidation had failed. He took a step back, muttered something under his breath, and finally turned, leaving the room with a reluctant, simmering anger. The front door slammed behind him, echoing through the house, but the weight of his presence had lifted. For the first time that morning, I could breathe without the suffocating tension pressing down. Emily exhaled deeply, burying her face against my shoulder. I didn't know he would, she trailed off, voice breaking. I held her tightly, letting her release the anxiety and fear that had built up over years of her father's control. It's over now, I whispered. Nothing he does can take this day away from us. We walked together to the living room, where the kids were waiting, wide-eyed but slowly realizing that the storm had passed. Their expressions shifted from shock to tentative smiles as Emily knelt to embrace them. "Mom's here," she said softly, her tone apologetic and full of longing. I watched them, understanding that this day had not only tested my love for Emily, but also the bonds of family that had endured despite chaos and intimidation. Minutes later, when we finally returned to the preparations for the ceremony, the house seemed lighter, freer. The charred remnants of my suit were swept aside, replaced by a fresh one we borrowed, but it wasn't just about the clothing. It was a symbolic victory, a testament that love, respect, and courage could overcome even the most absurd attempts to undermine it. As we stepped outside, the sun now fully risen, Emily held my hand tightly. Her eyes met mine, unspoken words of gratitude and reassurance passing between us. I realized that the events of that morning, as shocking and cruel as they had been, had strengthened us. They reminded us that we could face anything together, that our bond was resilient, capable of weathering storms even before the vows were exchanged. The ceremony went on without further interruption. Friends and family witnessed our commitment, unaware of the morning's chaos, but I knew. Emily knew. And the lessons of resilience, courage, and standing firm against those who try to control your life would remain with us forever. That wedding day, though scarred by fire and fear, became a story of triumph, proving that love, when true, cannot be destroyed by the spite of others.